I didn't strive to prove what a decent guy I am. I said a few words to them, since if I don't they won't believe me. 5 names. That's all they asked me. I figured it would be easy. Then I began crossing names out. Hollywood offered me a lifetime of amazing people. Some could quiet a room just by walking through the door. Some became legends before they were old enough to know what the word meant. And some looked great on a 40-foot screen, but surprisingly average when the lights went out. That's the portion the audience never sees. I did so. I saw John Wayne when he wasn't John Wayne for the cameras. I was facing Burt Lancaster when that famous confidence of his was being tried. I knew Lauren Bacall before most of America knew her name. I have seen Spencer Tracy do things before a camera that have made other actors forget their own performances and just watch him. After so many years, you don't get dazzled by celebrity. You begin to notice something else. Who still respects you when there isn't an audience? Who makes you think I want to do that? Those were the folks that I cared about, and there were 5 that never really left my mind. But I have a reason why I ranked them in this particular position, since the man at number 1 wasn't the largest personality I know. He wasn't the toughest. He wasn't even the guy I spent most time with. He was something far rarer. He was the kind of performer who made another actor forget he was watching a play. I'll catch up to him. John Wayne, first, though. It wasn't his height that was the first thing you noticed about Duke. Neither was it the voice. It was how he seemed to demand so little of anyone. Most performers need reinforcement, a director's approval, a good review, someone to tell them the previous take was successful. John Wayne walked like a man who had already come to terms with who he was. I thought that was interesting. We worked on In Arm's Way together and then The War Wagon. By then, neither of us was a young man out to be seen. We each had a rep. We were both strong personalities and didn't always see eye to eye, but it never stopped me from observing him. Duke knew something about movie stardom that very few actors ever really understand. The promise the audience had given him. They came to see John Wayne, and well, John Wayne was there every time. No apologies. No embarrassment in being bigger than life. When that face, that movement and that voice came up on a theater screen, he understood exactly what it meant. But I was different. I was always pushing, always trying to break things open. I might have gone too far sometimes. Duke didn't have to. He could stand there, stare at another man, wait half a second, and all of a sudden the scenario was his. That's not something an acting teacher can give you. You either have it or you don't. But that's the funny thing. But John Wayne with all his may cannot make it higher. Because the next man had something that hit me in an entirely other way. I watched with this man. With Duke. I competed, and every time Burt Lancaster came on the set I knew I had to be ready. It was a tricky kind of friendship, Burt and I. Maybe that's why it endured. We worked together again and again, and every time we did, something transpired between us. Competition, but not the unpleasant kind. The useful kind. Burt was powerful, bright, ambitious, and quite well aware what he could do. So was I. You put 2 guys like that in a setting, and neither one of them wants to go away. I like that. There were times when I could almost feel him feeling out the surroundings, and I was feeling it out too. Who was having a stronger moment, who was holding back, who was pushing too hard. We didn't have to talk about it. The actors know Burt started as an acrobat, and you can still feel that physical assurance in him. He knows how to use his body. He comprehended movement. Even when he stood still, there was energy underneath him. But sometimes people did not realize how smart he was because he seemed so strong. That was incorrect. Burt thought about all of it. He was more than just an attractive, athletic man. He was serious about the work. And when you worked against somebody serious, you had 2 possibilities. It's be better or be found out. Burt made me better. That is one of the best compliments I can give to another performer. But the next person on my list takes me even further back. Before the premieres, before the large houses, before people treated us like we were legends, back when Hollywood was something we were still searching for. And the person I remember from those days was Lauren Bacall, before the world knew Lauren Bacall. I knew Betty, and part of me still recalls her like that. Not like the glamour girl next to Humphrey Bogart. Not like the face in the movie posters. Not like the legend Hollywood would one day make her. Betty. Just. We had known each other in New York before either of us became renowned. Back then I wasn't Kirk Douglas yet. I was still trying to figure out whether acting could genuinely become a life. We were young, broke, ambitious, and perhaps more optimistic about the future than we had any right to be. That's why it was extraordinary to see what happened to her. Lauren didn't take the slow road to fame. It was as if Hollywood had suddenly noticed her. That same girl I had known was up against Humphrey Bogart all of a sudden. The face America witnessed. They heard that unmistakable voice. They saw with certainty, and a star appeared. But I knew something spectators could not know. I had seen her before all this happened. And when you knew someone before they were successful, you see success in a different way. You see what it becomes. And what it doesn't. Lauren always had present. She didn't have to struggle for your attention. She could give you a few seconds gaze and make you question what it was she knew that you didn't. The camera loved that. But she was not great because she was beautiful. Hollywood was a town full with gorgeous people. What Lauren had was personality, bitterness, humor, power. She may be hard. I could too. Maybe that's why I got her. She didn't want to be little so others could be bigger. I respected that. And there was something about her that lingered with me. She took me back to where we started. When you've been renowned for decades, it's easy to forget the person you were before anyone gave a damn. Lauren never let me forget fully. Every time I saw her behind the movie star persona, I could still see Betty, the young woman who didn't know what was ahead. Perhaps that's why she's here. Not only did she become one of Hollywood's great stars, but I got the luxury of seeing the person before the legend. But there was another man, when it came to acting itself, who taught me something without sitting me down to teach me. I watched him and I realized that all I believed made a powerful performance might be wrong. His name was Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy may make an actor uneasy just by his presence. That was the great thing about him. I acted quite intensively. That I did know. I like characters with a fire going on under them. Anger, fear, ambition, okay? I wasn't afraid to show the battle to a crowd. Tracy could get the same power, sitting still. You'd watch him and say, is that all he's going to do? Then you couldn't help but watch him. That used to upset me, because when you're a young actor you want to perform. We would like to show you the work. We discover a gesture that works and then we use it again. We notice a pause, it catches attention and we remember it. Then you watch Spencer Tracy and suddenly all those small tricks start to look like tricks. He didn't appear to care about showing what a terrific actor he was. That was just the reason he was a sight of one. He listened. Listened. And when another actor spoke, Tracy's remarks seemed to come after the notion could almost be seen to arrive. It was not prearranged, not premeditated, alive. As I got older I came to grasp how hard that was. Young performers stick stuff. They learn to take them away, the older actors. No movement. Take out the dramatic pause. Get rid of the need to impress anyone. Eventually there is only the character remaining if you are lucky. Tracy knew that a long time before the rest of us did. And that I admired him greatly. And there were times when I wondered if I had spent too much of my own career pushing when I should have just trusted the moment. That is what the really excellent ones do to you. They're more than just fun. They make you question yourself. Spencer Tracy, he did that for me. It would be easy, perhaps even apparent, for practically any actor of my generation to rank him number one. But the reason I'm not placing him there is that there was one man whose work influenced me differently. He wasn't John Wayne. He wasn't as physically explosive as Burt Lancaster. He didn't have the Lauren Bacall aura and he didn't have to own a scene. Sometimes it looked like he was attempting to disappear inside it, yet when the moment was over, he was the person you remembered. That guy was Henry Fonda. And oh, there's a reason I've saved him for last. Henry Fonda never seemed to want to convince you that he was Henry Fonda. That sounds like a little thing. It doesn't in Hollywood. The business rewards character. It rewards faces you know and sounds you can tell before you even see the screen. Fonda had all that, yet somehow, he could set it aside when the tale started. I found that interesting. He was still. He didn't attack a situation. He let the scene come to him. I may not have realized how hard that was when I was younger. I was starving. I wanted each scene. I wanted to go further, to dig deeper, to make sure the audience felt what I was feeling. Fonda had the ability to do something powerful without effort. See the grapes of wrath. See how he carries Tom Joad. There's no feverish scrabbling to make the character significant. He just lets the man be and you believe him because of it. And then look at what he did years later and suddenly that familiar visage signified something completely different, once upon a time in the West. That's an actor's courage. Audiences had trusted Henry Fonda for years. He knew that trust, and yet let a filmmaker use it against them. I like that because longevity isn't about repeating what made people adore you. Sometimes it's about the risk of the very image that made you successful. Fonda could do both. He could stand for decency without becoming mushy. He could convey strength without having to say so all the time. And when the part called for darkness, he could make that darkness disconcerting because you didn't expect to see it in him. That's some range. But he's not number one for that reason alone. After enough years in this business, you stop judging actors by specific scenes. You open your mouth to ask a further query. Do I believe them? Do not adore them, do not envy them, trust them. I did with Henry Fonda. There was something about him that was obviously American, but not the America of billboards and speeches. Something softer. A man who holds his ground. A man who bears disappointment with no need to justify it. A man striving to do what he thinks is right, even when no one's looking. Maybe that's why he kept performing. They were not made of fashion. They were built on human behavior. John Wayne taught me the power of presence. Burt Lancaster showed me how much competitiveness might mean. Lauren Bacall reminded me that it was the person before the mythology. Tracy demonstrated for me how much an actor can do by not doing anything that wasn't essential. But Henry Fonda brought those teachings to bear on the most fundamental matter of all. Can you convince others that you're telling the truth? He could. That's why if you make me choose one, I'd choose Henry. It's strange what survives a lifetime. I made films that people still speak about. I played Spartacus. I played Vincent van Gogh. I worked with directors, writers and actors whose names went into Hollywood history. But now, looking back, I don't see a list of credits. I see faces. Duke is standing there, with that assurance you just can't mistake. Burt, who was ready to make a competition out of everything. Lauren, whom I remember as Betty before the rest of the world knew her. Tracy teaching us all how little a brilliant actor sometimes has to do. And Fonda, quiet, controlled, credible. 5 different stars, 5 very different lessons. That is what makes the term great so hard. There's no one way to be great. Hollywood likes rankings because rankings are easy. Life is not a day, another memory. And maybe I would put the names in a different order. But the respect would still be there, because I was lucky enough to work during an exceptional moment. I didn't have to search for these people in old images. I didn't have to read about them in literature. I watched them. I heard them talking when the cameras were off. I watched them get ready. I saw them fail, I saw them try again. That's the Hollywood I remember. The people. Not the best. Not the front page. Not even the cheer. Eventually the lights go off, the theater empties, the posters fade, and all you really have are the people you were lucky enough to remember.